So two of the most important metrics for any YouTube creator to fully understand are their CPM and their RPM. These metrics tell you a ton about your channel as a whole and determine how much you actually get paid on YouTube. However, most creators don't actually understand how these metrics work. So in this video, I'm going to break them down very simply and show you how you can actually use them to your advantage to make more money on the YouTube platform. So starting off, what is your YouTube CPM? Well, this was actually the only metric we had as creators to figure out how much we were getting paid on YouTube until about mid-2020 when RPM was actually rolled out. Now, CPM measures how much advertisers are actually paying Google to get in front of your videos on the YouTube platform. See, because YouTube ads run as an auction, okay? So the more bidders there are and the more demand there is for ad space on a particular video, the higher the price is going to be and the more the creator is going to make. That drives the CPM up higher and higher when there are more people bidding for that same ad spot. Now, CPM stands for cost per mille, and it's the cost that the advertiser actually pays for 1,000 impressions on your channel. Now, an impression is any time someone sees an ad on one of your videos. So to break that all down, okay, your cost per mille, your CPM, is driven by an auction process on your channel where advertisers are bidding against each other. The higher the bids go, the higher the CPM goes, and the more money you take home in your pocket. Now, YouTube is going to be taking a 45% cut of all of this money. So your CPM is not how much money you are actually making. It is before YouTube's cut comes into play. So for example, 1,000 views on a $100 CPM channel would translate to $55 in your pocket as the creator and 45 of those dollars going to YouTube. However, creators wanted a better metric to understand how much money they were actually making, and so that's how the RPM metric came around, which we'll get to in just a little bit. Now, a common question a lot of newer YouTubers have is, what is a good CPM? Well, it's a common question, but there is no firm answer on this because your CPM depends on a whole number of factors. This includes your audience demographics, the topics of your videos, and even whether or not you swear in your content. See, because all of these factors influence how much companies are actually willing to pay for ads on your channel. Now, the average US CPM is anywhere from $6 to $8 as of the recording of this video. Personally, my CPM is closer to about $25 to $35 because I'm making videos on finance, taxes, and things that advertisers are more willing to pay to get in front of my audience versus something like a gaming channel where the demand for those ads is a little bit lower because they're not quite as targeted at a particular audience. But that being said, there are some methods you can use to actually increase your CPM. So let's dive into 3 of the most effective methods you can use right now. Now, in the past, there were a number of scares on YouTube about very unsafe content being posted to the platform and advertisers having their ads shown before this unsafe content. Very bad for brands. Brands do not want to associate themselves with that type of content. So brands have gotten a lot more careful with the videos they actually put ads on within the YouTube platform. So that being said, if you swear in your videos, you have a smaller pool of advertisers willing to put their ads on your videos because a lot of brands are trying to be family friendly, trying to appeal to a younger audience. They don't want to put their ads on videos of people who swear. Same thing if you're talking about illegal substances. A lot of brands don't want to be associated with that. So you're really reducing your pool of available advertisers when you talk about these particular topics. Now, the next method you can use to increase your CPM is to target high CPM countries. See, because advertisers are willing to pay a very different amount of money for 1,000 views in the US versus 1,000 views in India. And this is actually why many international creators choose to make their videos in English, both to appeal to a broader audience, but then also to potentially capitalize on those higher CPMs than they would get if they were making videos in their native language. For some context here, some of the highest CPM countries are the US, the UK, Australia, and the United Arab Emirates, okay? So speaking English can potentially give you a huge leg up compared to whatever country you are in. Maybe the CPMs are a lot lower there, so if you can appeal to an English-speaking audience, a lot of times that can increase your CPM. Now, the third method you can use to actually increase your CPM is to choose a desirable niche. Now, most creators already have a niche, and most of them didn't choose that niche based on the CPM. They chose it based on something that they were actually passionate about and interested in. That's why most creators get into this, because they actually want to talk about stuff that they are interested in. But that being said, there are some ways to slightly tweak your niche in order to capitalize on a dramatically higher CPM. Here's a quick example. So like I said before, entertainment, gaming channels typically have a very low CPM because they're appealing to a very broad audience. Advertisers can't get as targeted with the particular ads that they're showing, and a lot of these viewers are actually on the younger side and might not even have the money to buy their products. Now, business and entrepreneurship channels typically have much higher CPMs because advertisers can really target this audience, and this audience typically has more money to spend than the typical viewer of a gaming channel. So if you had, say, an entertainment channel that focused on doing different challenges, you could potentially weave in more business and entrepreneurship, maybe some make money challenges in order to capitalize on the higher business and entrepreneurship CPM while also staying true to your niche, which is entertainment and doing different challenges. So if you've just kind of told yourself, well, I'm just in a low CPM niche, that's not necessarily the case. And there are ways for you to tweak what you're doing just a little bit to really dramatically increase your pool of advertisers that want to get in front of your audience. But that being said, there's this constant balance between your potential audience size and your CPM, because with a gaming channel or a general entertainment channel, a Mr. Beast channel, things like that, there's generally a much broader appeal for that content. Okay, like Mr. Beast is pulling 50 million views a video. I'm not going to get 50 million views on a video talking about taxes for YouTube. Okay, so you have to kind of balance that and see, okay, I'm probably getting a much higher CPM than Mr. Beast is, but he's getting tens of millions of views on his videos. So even if you do have a low CPM niche, it's still possible to make a significant amount of money because you can reach a much wider audience with that type of content. But now let's dive into what your YouTube RPM actually is. Well, this number actually describes how much you as the creator are making. This takes into account YouTube's 45% cut of your AdSense income, and as a result, it's typically lower than your CPM. Now, I say typically lower because there are certain cases where your RPM may actually be higher for your CPM on a particular video or on a collection of videos. And I'll have more on that in just a second. So RPM stands for revenue per mille and represents the amount of money you are making per 1,000 views on your channel. Now, this includes other things other than just your YouTube AdSense, things like super chats, channel memberships, and your YouTube premium revenue. And so if these additional income streams are significant enough, they can potentially push your RPM above your CPM. And I've seen that with a couple of my clients' channels from time to time. They'll get a really high performing video that will have an RPM actually higher than the CPM. Typically happens with like live streams where you're getting a lot of super chats, but for the most part, your CPM is typically going to be higher than your RPM. Now, quick example, a $5 RPM means that for every 1,000 views on your channel, you are taking home $5 in your pocket. So when you're looking at your YouTube CPM versus your RPM, both of these are very important metrics for creators to know. Your RPM is typically going to be more important though, because that is focused on how much money you are actually taking home at the end of the month. That's because it factors in YouTube's split of the ad revenue and a bunch of other income sources that you can make on the YouTube platform. Now, keep in mind though that neither of these metrics takes into account any other income streams you're doing outside of the YouTube platform, things like affiliate marketing, brand deals, sponsors, all of that good stuff. So it's going to be useful to continue to experiment on your channel and see how you can improve both of these metrics over time. So now that you know how your YouTube CPM and your RPM work, the next thing you should do is check out this video over here where I break down exactly how to get sponsors on YouTube, my step-by-step process that I've used for myself and for dozens of clients to land them sponsorship deals on the YouTube platform. It's actually a lot easier than most creators think, so check out this video and I'll see you over there.